enjoying some Saudi money. I mean, if you're a footballer, Saudi is definitely the destination at the age of 29. Now, Manchester United's 36 million pound new boy Joshua Zexi became an instant Old Trafford hero as he scored an 87th minute winner against Fulham. The former Bologna forward came on with Alejandro Garnacho after an hour as United struggled to find a breakthrough against Marco Silva's side. But then later in the game, he actually started the move. He got the ball, gave it to Casemiro. Casemiro to Garnacho, and then Garnacho's cross was met in the box by Zexi. Now, there will be games today in the English Premier League. In just about 30 minutes, Liverpool will get their campaign off with a match against Ipswich Town. Arsenal will be facing Wolverhampton Wanderers. Everton will engage Brighton and Hove Albion. Newcastle United will take on returnees Southampton. And then Nottingham Forest will also be facing Antoine Semegnon's Bournemouth. West Ham United with Mohamed Kudus will be involved in late kickoff against Aston Villa. So that will be it in the English Premier League. Well, there were games in the French Ligue 1 yesterday, and of course, champions Paris Saint-Germain, they thrashed Le Havre by 4-1, and the goal scorers for PSG were Lee Kang-in, and then Ousmane Dembele, Bradley Bracola, and then Randall Kolo Muani were all on target for the French Giants. Well, there will be games in the French Ligue 1 today with the other teams also taking part in action. Well, so in the French Ligue 1, the games that will be coming up are Olympique Marseille, they will be facing Brest. Stade Reims will be engaging Lille, and then AS Monaco with Mohamed Salisu, they will be facing returnees Saint-Etienne. For FC Porto during his 4-year stay in Portugal. Nottingham Forest have also signed Paraguay forward Raymond Souza for £9.3 million from Talares. The 24-year-old has signed a 5-year deal at the City Ground after scoring 17 goals and adding 13 assists in 53 appearances for the Argentina top flight side. So these are the news, or these are some of the news that we'll be giving you this morning. And so in Europe, it's actually begun, and there are matches from England, France, Spain, and then Italy. So we'll give you updates on all of that. But then the results from the Spanish La Liga yesterday: Celta Vigo defeated Deportivo Alaves by 2-1. Las Palmas were held to a 2-2 draw by Sevilla. So that is it, Raymond.
Right, look, man, thank you very much for bringing us the updates from the world of sport. Eddie Akins is in studio with me. Eddie, good morning to you and welcome.
Good morning, Raymond. Good to be here, as always.
I also have Kofi Esiche on the line, Patrick Makashite. Patrick, good morning to you and welcome. Patrick, good morning to you and welcome to the Weekend Sport Rally. Okay, so I'm not getting Patrick on the line at the moment, but he'll join us in a bit. Look, man,
Yeah.
Post Paris 2024, after Ghana's uninspiring performance, a lot of us would have expected that the key players, the main stakeholders, would actually find a way to come back to us and tell us why Team Ghana failed to pick a medal, why our athletes didn't get the best of preparations for the tournament, why some of our athletes didn't get their preferred coaches to join them at the tournament, and even attempt to offer an apology. As we speak today, over a week after the games, there hasn't been a statement from the sports ministry, no statement from the Ghana Olympic Committee, no statement from SWAG, not a single question on the floor of parliament, even asking questions as to why Team Ghana performed the way they did at the tournament. It's almost as if we went to the tournament, we didn't do well, everybody has forgotten about it. But I remember very well, we were in this country. When the Black Stars went to Cote d'Ivoire and failed spectacularly at that tournament, at the just ended AFCON tournament, they failed woefully. Even right from the mixed zone, journalists were attacking the Black Stars players. Correct me if I'm wrong. We are back in this town after yet another symbolic performance at the Olympics. All our sports journalists have gone quiet. They've gone mute. Not a single word. And I remember, sports journalists came together to form a consortium or a conglomerate or a coalition to demonstrate against the Ghana Football Association for Ghana's failure to progress from the group stage at AFCON. Since Samuel Techi won gold, in fact, our first medal since 1992, we had been going to the Olympics competitions, failing to win medals on consistent basis until Tokyo 2020, when Samuel Techi brought bronze. Even that, it was the rules that favored him. So in boxing, when you qualify for the semi-finals, automatically you are in the medal zone. Whatever happens, the least you can get to be a bronze. So it's not as if he even placed third. He finished fourth in that competition, and if the rules were the old rules, he wouldn't have been able to even secure a medal. Samuel Techi was the only one who got a medal in Tokyo. It papered over the cracks, or it papered over our failures in that particular competition. We went to Paris, came back with another woeful result. Everybody is quiet. Nobody is questioning the stakeholders. Nobody is asking questions as to why Team Ghana performed the way we did. Nobody is asking questions as to why some of the players or the athletes didn't get the best of training. Nobody is asking questions. I asked this morning, is the Olympic Games not important for us as a nation? Is that competition not important? Look, let us go to Botswana today. Because of Letsile Tiboho, the country declared a holiday, a half day, after he won the 200 meters. Go and look at the ceremony they held for the 4x400 team and Letsile Tibogo after they arrived in Botswana. The kind of advert Tiboho gave his country, you won't find anywhere. The kind of elevation, the kind of lift he gave Botswana, you won't find anywhere. But here we are. We are talking about year of return. We are talking about what? Beyond the return. We want to boost our tourism drive. Sports gives you that easy pass. Sports gives you that easy access to the limelight. Look, today we are talking about St. Lucia because of a certain Julian Alfred. We are talking about Dominican Republic because of their performance at these games. And we think that it is okay for us to go send officials that outnumber even the team. We think it's okay to just go and participate and come back. United States of America, as we speak, they are preparing their team for Los Angeles 2028. A lot of the athletes we saw in Paris will be in Los Angeles. They will come again and dominate the medal charts. This is deliberate planning. Eddie.
Okay, Raymond. I would start off by commending you for hitting home with certain points, and I'd also commend ZFM and the Weekend Sports Rally for offering a platform to look at the issues and advocate for what's necessary and important for Ghana sports. And I like the submission in that it addressed the various stakeholders, including the journalists. And I think that's a very honest submission, very well informed submission, and I would again commend you for that. Now, it just speaks to one thing, that we as a nation, we pretend to love sport, but in actual fact, what we love is football. And no one is an exception, from the fans to the policymakers to the journalists to the technical people. Everyone in this country pretends to love sport when in actual fact their love is for football and only football, and it shows. So after every AFCON, there's an inquest into the budget, into the spending of the Black Stars. But you don't get the same level of aggression after every Olympic, tournament. You don't get the same level of passion to address issues that come up post the Olympic tournaments. So it's clear that the priority of the nation is not sport, but then it is football. And once that priority has been, outlined, really, there can't be any strong advocacy for the other sports. We live in a country where we refer to the other sports sometimes as the lesser known sports, or least funded sports, or least popular sports. So we have put all those sports aside football into a certain box. And I love the angle of beyond the return and the year return, because anyone who appreciates sports knows that tourism and sports move hand in hand, and that the Olympic Games is held every 4 years. So it would have made a lot of impact, okay, if we had athletes at the Olympic Games performing to a certain degree to promote the country, to have some consequence on the Beyond the Return initiative for this year, right? What does that mean? It means that the Tourism Authority, the Ghana Tourism Authority, Ministry of Tourism, were supposed to actually be part of, even the preparation of the athletes prior to going to the Olympic Games, because there is a very, very, very evident angle of marketing the country and marketing the initiative at the Olympic Games. So imagine Teboho was Ghanaian. That's just about bringing in thousands of people in December, because they would want to come and see where Teboho is from,
right,
where he trains, his family, his community, and so all these things are linked.
Right.
And you are spot on linking sports to tourism. And so if we treat all these things in silos, right? And we think that sports can go its way. Olympic Games has come, it can go. The Beyond the Return is also a different matter. Then we're missing a huge point. A very huge point. So I think our priorities are set. We've not. You can tell through our actions that it's football or nothing else.
Right, Eddie. And I mean, in the coming days, I am expecting the sports ministry, the Ghana Olympic Committee, members of parliament to start asking pertinent questions as to why we've consistently bottled it at Olympics. Even at this Olympics, we could not even get a boxer to represent Ghana at that tournament. We should be concerned. The silence of the GOC, the silence of the sports ministry, the silence of our colleagues, journalists, is deafening. And it goes to speak to what we call sports in this country, what we understand to be sports in this country. It goes to speak to that. Today, everybody is interested in the Premier League. No problem. We're all interested in the European leagues. No problem about that. But these are foreign leagues we are spending time and effort to promote because we feel Ghanaians have interest in it. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. But let's try to fix ours too. Let's try to fix ours and bring it up to the level where we can also on our own speak about our own products. Lukman, you want to say something?
Well, I mean, Eddie Akins has said it all. You know, there is this tree saying that if the drum is there, you don't hit the sides, you hit at the top. And I mean, it's perfectly said. There are so many questions that need to be answered. And for me, if we continuously ignore some of these sports, which really made us the Ghana that we are, then it tells you how we've become a failed state in terms of, you know, what we love the most. I mean, I've seen so many reactions from the Olympic Games, not pertaining to Ghana. In fact, Ghana went there and did nothing, and so there was no real reaction from us here. But then, let me just point out something. It was just yesterday that I was going through, you know, some websites, and then I chanced on a media, on a Indian news website. Did you know that even after winning 6 medals, Narendra Modi, the Prime Minister of India, still, while congratulating the athletes that did well, he still found a way of criticizing those that didn't do well. In fact, he was questioning those that were doing reels instead of concentrating on their events. That's how serious they are about some of these things. India, they went to the Olympics, got 6 medals, and then still their Prime Minister is not even happy with their performance. It's not that India is a huge sporting nation, but then they understand what sports can do to them. I mean, we all saw what happened with Leslie Tegbogo in Botswana. Look, let me tell you, if you go for the past 3-4 days, if you've been on TikTok, it's been Leslie Tegbogo where he is from. In fact, there were people from Jamaica who were running commentary on, you know, people who take video, and they never knew there was a country called Botswana. So they were chanting and then praising him, and then at the end of the day, they tried to BOTW. Where they, so that is the kind of attention it brought to Botswana, and it's not just Botswana. The power of the Olympic Games extends beyond most of the things. Look, the only sports that beats, or the only competition that beats the Olympic Games is the World Cup. And so, if we go there just as representatives, this is what we will definitely be getting. But then, for me, it's all about trying to, you know, make something out of it. When Julian Alfred won her gold, we all saw what St. Lucia and then St. Lucia is doing. I mean, a small island country. Now there is so much attention on them. It's not just about Jamaica anymore in the Caribbean. It means every country in the Caribbean. There was this new nation, Dominican Republic, not the Dominican Republic in North. They went there and then won something. There was attention on them. So we are now realizing that, look, Olympic Games or sports can really give you the kind of leverage you need in terms of promoting your country. Unfortunately, I've always said this and I'll continue saying this. It looks like our leaders don't really understand the power of sports and what it can do. Look, America or the United States are not sending over 400 athletes there because they want to send over 400 athletes. It's because of the kind of attention that it brings to them. Look, the United States won 126 medals, 40 golds. At the end of the day, anybody who didn't win gold is not even considered to have been there. That is how serious they are. And you see, these are the things, when we talk about countries being superpower and then the rest. America is a superpower because in sports, they are up there. In finance, they are up there. And so if we down here, look, all these talents, in fact, the American boxing team, their team doctor is a Ghanaian. That's how bad. Look, I saw German athletes, a German athlete named Ansa. There was an Israeli athlete called Efrifa. Look, it tells you that the talents are down here. It's rather unfortunate that we don't find a way.
They are competing for countries they believe supported.
Exactly. That's what I'm trying to say. So you see, if we don't find a way of making sure that because look, the pure talents are down here. We have to find a way of getting the best out of them. And at the end of the day, it also because look, Kenya makes a whole lot of noise when it comes to the Olympic Games on the continent, because every single Olympic Games, after every 4 years, Kenya becomes the country that wins the most medal. And Kenya is relevant because of that. Because in terms of finances, political, and whatever you have, they are not up there like that. Yes, historically, Kenya is one of the biggest countries on the continent. But then sports has found a way of also contributing in making them Kenya. Unfortunately, we went to the Olympic Games with only 8 athletes. And then after the opening ceremonies, all we were talking about was our dressing. Instead of, look, in fact, the Letchely Togogo that won the gold, there was a clip of our athletes and him dancing before the competition, during practice. So you see,
look, man, the issues.
It's sad talking about this because I feel so bad anytime I'm talking about it, because look, I've seen talents. In fact, I don't know. I told you this last week, Kosi. Every Saturday, Sunday, I go to Medina No. 1 Park just to watch football or sometimes play football. Look, I can confidently hit my chest and tell you that I know about 6-7 players that are better than players that are playing in the Premier League. But at the end of the day, after 4, 5, 6, 7 years, it will stay there if they don't get lucky to find someone who. But if we had good systems, if we really had good systems or academies, these boys will definitely find a way of getting there. But then to round it up, I mean, my problem is the way in which we journalists made a whole lot of. In fact, I was in Ivory Coast after that last game. I saw how we reacted, giddy, stopping the team from entering their bus if they don't pass the mix zone. We're making noise. We were so aggressive. We came down home again. We formed a team demonstration.
They formed a company.
Yes. And then now, Olympic Games. I've been monitoring.
Pressure group.
I've been monitoring. Exactly. I've been monitoring. You know what we were rather interested in? We were posting videos from Interco that, you know, the kids were jumping on poor mattresses, and that was what we journalists were
exposing
exactly
washing our
instead of pointing directly to the main issue. So that is my problem. Look. If you're, I know, in other countries, there are football journalists, there are sports, but down here, most of us consider ourselves sports journalists, not football journalists. Yeah. But then what we are doing is even the football, how are we doing it? Football is Black Stars. We don't even talk about our own Ghana Premier League.
Yes.
It's just Black Stars.
Thank you, Lukman. And Kosi Fiaka has just joined me. In the next few minutes, we'll be hearing from Kosi Fiaka. But Eddie, isn't it interesting that today, when it comes to 1,500 meters, the Americans are camping their athletes in Kenya to get used to the conditions there, to toughen them, because I mean they've obviously done their research and then realized that the system, the conditions in Kenya helps build their endurance. Adding a few scientific research to it, I mean a bit of scientific research will tell you that climate zone helps build your endurance for long distance races. So Kohoka was based in Kenya before he shocked everybody with a world record, 1,500 meters. So now they are even beginning to enter that space. What are we doing? And you see, nobody's talking about all this, but we are interested in how the Black Stars will play their next qualifiers and make sure they get to Canada, America, Mexico 2026, so that a lot of them can bolt, so that a lot of them can run away and not come back. No, you see, you see, this whole anger about Black Stars not performing at AFCON, it's not because the Black Stars didn't perform at AFCON as Semu. These are not the real issues. The real underlying issues are that, let me correct myself. When the Black Stars failed to go to qualify for the World Cup, when the key stakeholders, the GFA, failed to take action, and the boys failed to perform in the qualifiers and miss out on the World Cup, a lot of people who have plans of going to America or Canada or enter Mexico and find a way to enter America will have that means cut off. And these are the real issues. These are the real issues. Today we've gone to Olympics. Our boys have practically walked over dead bodies to compete at that level. Go and ask Azameti what he did before he came to these games. We waited until they qualified for the games before we attempted to even take them to Strasbourg to go and camp. We were only ready to help them go to Bahamas to go and qualify for relay. We were only waiting for the boxers to go to Dakar, to go to Italy, to go to Thailand, to go and qualify. But what we had to put in, we didn't put in. Today, the GOC president is back. He's in town. He's not apologized to anybody. Of course, he doesn't care. The sports minister is there. He doesn't care. I saw the sports minister just this week at a farewell event organized for the under-20, the princesses. He was busy bidding them farewell. Ask him if he's ever passed a single comment about Ghana's performance at the Olympics. But we are a football nation. We are Ghana. And we are expected to do well. Kosi, welcome to the weekend sports rally. And these are the issues. Before we get into the Premier League, I know Kofi Esiche is waiting for us to join the fold. These are the issues.
Raymond, you see, it's timely for me because just yesterday, I think I was telling you, I got invited by one of the top global sports brands to assist with like their marketing and brands and all of that. And in that meeting, there was an Italian and two Ghanaians. And the two Ghanaians were people that have been through our system. They were former Black Stars players. They are people that have understood the nuances of talent development and everything that it entails. Now, my takeaways from that meeting were not just insightful. They were awakening, right? Now, global sports brands are willing to invest in Ghana because of the wealth of talent. If you had any idea how many scouts from some of your top teams are resident in this country and are being paid a salary to discover players, it will shock you. If you found out, I'm not allowed to disclose certain things I would have. If you found out the amount of money earmarked by some of these global sports brands as investment in our market, and I call it the market because that is how they see it. We don't see it that way, but that's how in our market to pluck our talent and take them out there because they know the value of our talent, it will shock you. Like I said, that meeting I had yesterday was not only enlightening, it was awakening to the fact that people see what we see. Now, the only person who was not Ghanaian in that meeting was ranting and raving about the processes and the systems and the bottlenecks and everything that it entails. The two Ghanaians were not ambivalent or indifferent, but then they seemed more passionate from a personal point of view because they had all been through it. See, even your beloved Chelsea, do you know they have at least 3 scouts that are residents in Ghana that are paid a monthly salary?
Yeah.
Yes. That's the depth of talent that people believe that we have in this country. See, I saw a plan for an academy. Right to Dream is probably a 10th of what that plan is for that academy. They've started. Like I said, because of contractual issues, I really can't say too much. Maybe off air we'll have a conversation about it. They've started already. They've piloted and they've started. And some of their top legends have been in and out of this country, and you and I didn't know. Because of the belief they have in that kind of talent. You see, we don't lack talent. We lack a system to refine and develop that talent. And what Lukman said was true. There are probably players that are rotting away in, how do you call it? In the Coles and Medina. That are better than the Kobe Menu you and I are ranting and raving over.
Right.
Not just better, much better. And these guys recognize that. And you see, they've not just recognized this, there's a scientific basis to what they do. They pointed out certain things in our genetics, in a lot of things. And they've gone that deep to understand the scientific nuances behind why players that come from Africa and South America, or athletes that come from Africa and South America, turn out to be the best. Because most of the people from South America have African descent anyway.
Yeah.
It's not a fluke that Americans would deliberately push the people from the black race to be their best athletes because of the genetic properties that they have and because of the fact that they believe in nurturing talent like that because they'll get the best outcomes. And that is how serious people are. Now, one of the takeaways from that conversation was, why don't we adopt the same model? Because the returns are enormous. Ridiculously enormous. Why don't we adopt the same model? But the bottlenecks, the focus on the fact that the Black Stars have to qualify for the World Cup so that somebody can pocket 100,000.
So that fans can be sent to the tournament.
Not the fact that, listen, with football or sports can be a major commodity that will contribute a significant amount of money to our GDP. Find out how much football contributes to the GDP of Brazil. It will Jamaica. Jamaica. Yeah. Do you know what athletics contributes to their GDP? Do you know the number of people? Even these guys, Saint Lucia. Just one athlete that won a medal contributed massively. But we don't understand or see these things. And it's painful. So I can go on, I can rant. But
because see, if we ask the Ghana Football Association or the GOC or any other sports federation in this country to give us how much their sports contribute to the GDP of the nation, they can't even build a case for that, especially Ghana football.
No, not to stop you, Raymond. You know there are 2 Ghanaians that are training with Chelsea now.
Yeah,
there are 2 Ghanaians. Did you wonder how they got there?
Yeah, I was wondering how they got in there.
They are resident scouts. They live in Ghana. They've sent them. They pay them every month. Like they are on a salary to identify players. They go to the Bronx Alpha region for 3 months. They go here. That's how come those players, the Mobila guy and the what's his name, the Ganiyu guy.
Yeah, and you see, it's not surprising that someone like Tom Vernon can come into this country as a scout, figure out talent, and then make a business out of it. Today we are talking about Right to Dream. We are talking about Kudus Mohammed as our best player. How did we find Kudus Mohammed? There's this young boy, Fuseni. I think he was on target for Union Saint-Gilloise yesterday. That's another one coming from Right to Dream. The young boy, Kamaldeen Suleimana, Right to Dream. Nuyama, Right to Dream. This is somebody who came in here as a scout. Even the football that we are so passionate about, even the football that is making us deny the athletics and the badmintons and the volleyball, even the football we can do.
So let me a point of correction. He didn't just come as a scout. He actually came initially as an intern at Accra House of Folk.
Right.
As an intern. But then he had that skills of being a scout. And then he identified a market. And today, yes, like you've said, you are mentioning all these players. Or not all these players have even just made it. The thing about the Right to Dream Academy that fascinates me is that it's not just about the football. Look, if I mention the number of players that have had scholarships to study in the United States through the Right to Dream Academy alone, it's so he's changed the lives of people. And so and I always say, if you don't even have to look beyond maybe to other countries and see what they are doing, the blueprint is just right in front of us.
We are not interested.
Yeah.
Eddie,
Yeah,
your final words before we get into the English.
Yeah. So very interesting points raised around the table. So the presence of scouts at the regional, sub-regional, and national level, right, is as a result of, and I think it fits into whatever we're discussing here. Now, Ghana's qualification and participation in the 2006 World Cup opened the doors. All right? It opened the doors for attention. Right? The subsequent qualification and performance opened the doors. So when the Black Stars qualify for a tournament, there are about 22 players. Right? There are about 22 players who will come from 20 different clubs or 15 different clubs. What does that mean? Those clubs now pay attention to the country of origin and say, if you've been able to call up this player, then there's that potential at home. Now, that is for football. That is what the World Cup does for footballing talents in the country. Have we sat down to analyze what the Olympic Games can do for talents in country? And that's the question. If the World Cup can open up a lot of attention to an extent that, or to such an extent that clubs have resident scouts at the regional, sub-regional, and national levels, what can the Olympic Games do for a country like Ghana? What are the possibilities? In the same vein, the Olympic Games can open up a world of opportunities for these talents. But then, look at 2024, and Ghana was able to produce only 6 athletes.
For the
Olympic Games.
8, yeah.
8 athletes.
Yeah.
Right? Paltry number. Okay? So whereas the World Cup is giving a platform for about 22 players in a team to get that focus and have that ripple effect on the country, we're producing only 8 athletes for the Olympic Games, right? Why? Because we don't consider the Olympic Games in the same breath as the World Cup.
Yeah.
Right? Now, the World Cup is for football. The World Cup is not the biggest tournament in sporting history or in sports.
No.
It's the biggest tournament
It's the Olympics.
for football. The Olympic Games is the biggest tournament for sport.
Right.
So what you do there, that could actually even be a launch pad for a country to say, I'm not blessed with a lot of resources to develop local talent for sport or athletics or track and field. Now I'll do whatever it takes to prepare a number of athletes, push them to the Olympic Games, get them to get some medals, and use that as a launch pad to open the gates for further development. I don't think there's that plan.
Eddie, this is a topic we'll bring back, and I think that we have to keep the stakeholders on their toes.
But I'm waiting for the consortium to demonstrate again. No.
Yes.
If you want to do advocacy, you need to be consistent.
Right.
Yeah.
You don't pick and choose.
Those who demonstrated
Yes.
against the GF
They must come together
and make a statement.
and make another statement, because sport is not just football and the Black Stars.
I agree with you.
So,
100%.
so albeit it will be an afterthought though, but we'll still take it.
Yeah.
Yesterday, one of the parting comments I got from that meeting was people are joking with a serious natural resource.
Yeah.
And I'm quoting whoever
and-
said it, if they hear me.
yeah,
So
and-
you say you are joking with a serious
And that's the truth.
natural resource.
You see,
And-
even at the Olympics, when Ghana won bronze in 1992, yeah, it was 92 when we won bronze. We've not been able to even put together a team of footballers to even qualify for the Olympic men's football tournament since 2004. Even the football that we are so hooked on, the Black Meteors have failed to qualify since 2004. No one is talking. This is the weekend sports rally. Look, man, let me come in. Let me bring you.
Just briefly, the thing about football is that they were talking about the scouts. I actually covered the Wafu Zombie Championship in Legon, the University of Ghana. I tell you, before the game between Benin and then Ivory Coast, I posted some pictures on Twitter. And you know what someone asked me, can I get him the lineup? He was a scout. I went and then did my digging and then realized he was a scout. In fact, the media box at the University of Ghana Stadium that day, there were over 60 people and all of them were scouts. I'm telling you, only scouts. So
when I went to
yeah.
see the game, I saw as well.
exactly.
They know exactly what they are looking for.
That's
Exactly.
Some of them live in
that's
this
what-
country and they are. See, listen. When I found that out yesterday, I was like, really? See, yeah, some of your big clubs, you don't know. They have people that are staying. See, they are living in your country and they are on salary to discover players. That's their job.
That's what the World Cup has done for football. What is the Olympic Games doing for sport?
Well, what is the Olympic Games doing for sports? It's a matter we'll come back to discuss on the weekend rally on Z101.9 FM, your lifestyle, leisure, and business platform. This is the weekend sports rally, and we are live. We bring you nothing but the best in sports preview, bring you nothing but the best when it comes to discussing topical issues making the headlines in the world of sports. My name is Raymond Yamado. Lookman, Evergreen Movement is here, joining me with the analysis. Kosi Fiaka, also here doing the analysis with me, and Eddie Akins, also making sure we bring you nothing but the best and passionate discussion without fear or favor. Very objective analysis on the show. Jonathan Binzua is in there helping me with the production. And of course, Brahima is behind the machines on the weekend sports rally. Time check. And it's 12 noon. We are bringing you lunchtime sports here on Z101.9 FM. It's time to get into some football action. And football is back.
The Premier League is back.
Jackson! Fernandez! Dominguez! Once again, we are at it together.
Salah! Astonishing!
Antonio brushing off Colwell. Antonio! Nothing is for sure in this game. Bobbers lie clear, back in by Chilwell. Fernandes. Garnacho! He's dragged United back all by himself. Strong and swift enough, but Isak has robbed him. And Isak has finessed Newcastle.
I swear you'll never see anything like this ever again. So watch it, drink it in.
Rivalries are re-stoked.
2 goals in added time for Manchester City to snatch the title away from Manchester United.
Momentum is gathering.
And Martinelli!
It may be pivotal. Anthony Elanga.
Morgan Gibbs White! My, that's a beauty!
This is what makes our heart beat.
Manchester United found the way! This is the league we want to watch!
And that's kind of it.
Palmer's perfect penalty is 4-4! An unbelievable end! And Erling Haaland insists that City lead!
And the Premier League is back. Manchester United picked their first win of the season's campaign last night, thanks to a goal from Joshua Zirkzee, the new man they signed from Bologna. Currently ongoing at the Portman Road in Ipswich Town are taking on Liverpool. And good time to get into the discussion around the Premier League. Patrick Makashita is here with me. He is currently watching that Liverpool game. Very passionate about Liverpool. I would quickly speak to him and ask him what he thinks about Liverpool this season and what Liverpool would be trying to achieve under new manager Arne Slot. That game between Liverpool and Ipswich is currently goalless, and we'll quickly bring you up to speed with what's happening in there. This is the weekend sports rally with me, Raymond Yamado. We are live on Z101.9 FM, your lifestyle, leisure, and business platform. You can follow Z Multimedia on all social media platforms. On Instagram, Facebook, and on X is ZFMGH. ZFMGH. And you can also join us online. You can check out our website on www.zmultimedia.com. www.zmultimedia.com. Kofi, good afternoon to you and welcome to the Weekend Sports Rally. How you doing? Well, it's been quite a summer transfer window for Liverpool. And as your coach says, Liverpool are hoping to bolster their squad with some good talent. But at the moment, it's looking like they are not getting what they want. Zubimendi decided not to come. What's the plan for Liverpool going into the season?
I thought they asked me this question. I mean, you should ask me what happened. I was listening to you guys speak about sports in Ghana, and for a moment, I had. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, I mean, I was listening to you guys speak about football, sports in Ghana, and for a moment, I had forgotten that sports existed even in the country, bro. It's that bad that, you know, I mean, the least said the better. I've tried to stay away from sports in Ghana. So yeah, let's just talk about the English Premier League. I mean, new season, new head coach, new systems, new ideas for Liverpool. I mean, first game of the season, it's always going to be bit of a tricky one, especially away at Portmore Road to newcomers Ipswich, who themselves haven't done so badly. I think you see the metamorphic, how they've risen from League One into Championship and then into the Premier League all in a span of 2 years. I mean, it's just great. But then you asked the question about new head coach coming in, transfers not going as planned, and all that. I've taken a keen look at that. I've spoken to lots of people around the club, and look, when Slot took over, Arne Slot took over, he had said that he knew he was not going to have the full complement of the squad just before preseason. He was going to have a depleted squad. In fact, he took 80% of the squad he took on the tours were all from the academy, which, I mean, you can understand, because a lot of the senior players had gone for the Euros and then the Copa Americas. But then he has said that, look, I would need some time to look at these players that Jurgen Klopp has left for me before, let me assess them properly before I decide whether we can go into the market. So he had good for me. I think he had very good preseason, getting his ideas across. One of the things that I enjoyed mostly, especially talking to some of the guys, especially like Conor Bradley, was, look, there were meetings literally every day, and those meetings were more of an informative and educated meetings, giving you information on what you did well, what you didn't do well in yesterday's training, and how you can improve. Like, there were meetings literally every day on performance improvement, which wasn't quite the case under Jurgen Klopp. Yes, we'll have meetings at the end of each week's training. They have meetings before team gets into hotels for matches and stuff like that. But then for everyday meetings like that, you're going to get you get feedback from your coaches. I think it's a good thing. And again, one thing I've seen about him, which I kind of enjoy, is his hands-on approach. Unlike Jurgen Klopp, who's a manager, this guy is a proper coach. So that hands-on approach with being in there in the mix with the players, I think I kind of enjoyed it. But then with the senior guys coming back, they've had only 10 days with him, and that is when he felt like, okay, I think I need a proper number 6. Let's go into the market and get a number 6. Because looking at this Liverpool squad, yes, they may have limped towards the end of the last season because largely due to injuries and fatigue to some of the players. But then you can tell that this team is just a proper number 6 away from giving the league or giving Man City and Arsenal a proper challenge. And he identified Martins Zubimendi, who was very, very good for the Spanish team in the Euros. He wasn't a starter, but then every time he came on, you could see his influence. You could see what he brought onto the team, which I think people felt that, look, like the system Real Sociedad played was not too different from what Arne Slot played with Feyenoord. So getting him being that ball controller in that midfield for me, post Fabinho would be a great thing, because people have struggled to replace Fabinho in that midfield. And don't get me wrong, has come in. I think he's done a very good job, but you still want an upgrade, somebody who would command.
Well, I think I'm losing you, Kofi. If you can just fix that line a bit.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. I can hear you now.
I mean,
I'm having a bit of a technical challenge with Kofi at the moment. But this is the Weekend Sports Rally, live on Z101.9 FM. Okay, let's get back onto the phone lines with Kofi and then wrap up the discussion about Liverpool. Kofi, if you can hear me, you can continue.
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, sure.
Can you hear me, Raymond?
Yeah, you can go ahead.
Zubimendi gave them his word through his agents, so the club knew that, yes, we're going to get the player. Then after a bit of charm from Real Sociedad themselves, and then the lure of staying back in his boyhood club, the Basque club, I think the player changed his mind. Which, I mean, looking at considering all factors and all information, it's not really the fault of the club. They have identified the player. You might want to ask what was their contingency plan, but then they have, if you look at the policy and approach for Michael Edwards and his team, they've always been this player or no one at all. It happened prior to Alisson, Van Dijk, Musala. They've always been this player or none of them. They're always prepared to beat their time, wait their time, and get to their man. So I wasn't really upset with it. I thought like they still have a very good team to still give this league challenge Manchester and Arsenal for the title. I don't see them winning the league title. I think it will be too much of an ask. But then, look, they've kept the core of this team. Everybody's still there, barring Matip and Adrian and then Thiago, whose contracts elapsed and had to be passed on. But then I think, look, they've still got the core of the team there. For me, focus on renewing contracts of Salah, Trent Alexander-Arnold, and Captain Virgil van Dijk. Get this team playing again. We've seen a bit of top and changing with who plays in number 6. We've seen Gravenberch play in the last 2 games pre-season. We've seen him again playing today against Ipswich. I think, for me, depending on the kind of systems and the kind of oppositions they play, they can always find a way of playing either Gravenberch or having a double pivot between Endo and McAllister. And I think they'll be fine for the season.
We've seen 41 minutes of that game between Liverpool and Ipswich. So far, based on what you saw in pre-season and what you're seeing at the moment, does it look like Liverpool are going to have an easy season? Does it look like they're going to have things going their way, just like we saw under Klopp?
I think it's always going to be a bit of a tricky start, especially with a new head coach in there. They're not going to have it very easy from the start. It's going to be, they would have to ease their way into it. They would have to find means of tweaking formations, tweaking systems, let's adjust it into whatever ideas Arne Slot has before they can actually get onto song. Watching this game, you could clearly see what the man wants to do. You can see his ideas, starting play from the back. He's kept faith with that, and he keeps doing that. A few times, Ipswich have caught them on that because, look, they're full of energy, they're full of running. They would always chase you. New Premier League bounce, newcomer bounce. So it's a bit of scrappy first half that I think, especially in the half 12 kickoff in the sun in England at the moment. But then I expect Liverpool to still win the game. I expect them to ease themselves into the season as the season goes by, and I think they'll get better.
Kofi, stay with us. We'll get into the discussion with the rest of the boys in the studio, so just stay with us, and then we'll bring you in on the rest of the topics that we'll be discussing as far as the Premier League is concerned. But, gentlemen, the Premier League is back, and we saw Manchester United last night. We saw what they did, how they managed to get at least all 3 points in the dying numbers of that game. Eddie, quickly, let me start with Lukman, because he came into the studio excited about what he watched yesterday. Lukman, the United you watched yesterday, any improvements from what they did last season?
Just to point of correction, I wasn't excited about the performance. I was excited about the 3 points. That's all. Very well. It's the 3 points. In fact, the performance was really boring. It was not the best from United. I haven't really seen any difference from what we saw last season, because Fulham could have equally beaten United. They had their moments. Unfortunately, they failed to take their chances. United had their moments as well. I mean, there were some clear-cut chances. Bruno Fernandes had one. Alexandro Garnacho also had one, which he should have buried, but then he missed. But then it tells you something about the United team. That confidence is still lacking, because if you're playing against Fulham, you should be dominating them and then winning games. And after the game, I saw something which tells you the kind of mentality around the United camp. I mean, they celebrated as if they won the league. I mean, I've seen different United teams. I remember watching United back in the day, the mid-2000. United could beat Wigan 4-0, and then everybody walks as if nothing has happened. But this time around, you beat Fulham 1-0, and the way we celebrate, and no, I mean, it tells you that there is something really lacking with United. In terms of the performance itself, like I said, it wasn't the very best. There is still a lot of work to be done with the United team, because starting Bruno Fernandes as a false 9, that should tell you that there's still the inadequacy of a striker in that team, because there was Marcus Rashford who could have easily played the number 9 role. It tells you that the coach doesn't really trust Marcus Rashford as a number 9, so he had to use Bruno Fernandes. And then you also look at the fact that there are players, he had to rely on a player that just came 2 or 3 days ago. Mashuari had to play in that game and he just came 2-3 days ago. So it tells you that there is and he didn't even have a preseason. So there is a lot of work to be done with the United team. I've said it here and I'll say it again. United, I don't think are in to win the Premier League. But then if they want to really make that top 4, there is a lot of work that has to be done.
Let me come to you, Eddie, and I think I'm sure you followed that game and you looked at how Manchester United played. Lukman believes they haven't departed too much from what we saw them do last season. Manchester United last season, you look at the top 9 teams in the league, and you look at the number of goals they scored. They scored the least number of goals, 57, and considered 58, finishing the season with a -1 goal difference. You look at this Manchester United team and how they created chances and failed to convert. What really is the problem of this team, and how do they solve it?
Yes, so the problem of this United team last season was mainly in defense, and that's why they recorded or posted a negative goals aggregate and lost, I think, 14 games in the process.
Yeah.
So clearly tells you that they have a problem in defense, and so my attention yesterday was on how they were going to their defensive shape, the organization, the personnel, and also how much protection they were going to get from the midfield, because then again that area was much of a problem also for United, the midfield area, because they were not controlling games and they were not controlling the transitions of the opposition team. So that was what I was looking at. Were they able to control absolutely the transitions of the Fulham team? Not absolutely. We had moments in the game where Fulham prized United open, but for woeful finishing, the scoreline would have been different. So yes, Ten Hag has moved to bring in some players. You can talk about De Ligt, Mazraoui, and the like. So you're waiting to see how, or first of all, which back line he's going to settle on, because I don't think this is the back line he's going to prefer in all the games. So you're looking to see which back line he's going to settle on, to see how he organizes them, and also which midfield combination works best with this back line. Because if United will challenge this season, they need to first solve their defensive woes, even before we talk about what they do in advanced areas. Yes.
Well, Kwasi, quick thoughts on Manchester United, and we all saw that game yesterday. It almost looked like United labored for that victory. We didn't see too much of the clear plan of Erik ten Hag and what he wants to do in the course of the season. Based on what we saw yesterday, I know it's early days, but do United look like that team that could possibly finish in the top 4?
No. I'll tell you why. Now, Erik ten Hag has been at the helm for a couple of years now, right? So it means he should have carved out a very definitive rhythm for this Manchester United team. They've made a few additions. The likes of Joshua Zirkzee, who turned out to be the match winner yesterday. Mason Mount, who still is unable to find his feet. Yesterday he played as an inside forward somewhat. The likes of Marcus Rashford have been there for eons, etc. And then again, we've seen a departure from the culture of management there with Ineos investment, etc. Erik ten Hag should by now have built a team with a certain identity. And coming up against Fulham yesterday, we did not see that identity. We saw a Manchester United team that labored to win against a Fulham team that they should have beaten at home. I mean, take nothing away from Marco Silva and his charges. They had an absolutely phenomenal game. They missed some gilt-edged chances. Onana came up clutch with that save from Tate, etc. But then Erik ten Hag should by now have built a well-oiled machine. And we're not seeing that well-oiled machine yet. If he had joined last season, fair play, he has excuses. But then again, people are saying he's got a new backroom staff, etc. Let's give them some time, etc. But Man United is a big team, arguably one of the biggest teams in the world, and they need to get back to that reputation of going out there and blowing teams like Fulham out of the water. It will be a long, hard season. Let's hope and pray. They finished last season. They finished 8th, or 6th or 8th.
Yeah, they finished 8th.
They finished 8th. This season will be much tougher. Let's see if Erik ten Hag has what it takes. People are saying the revolution of his backroom staff is in anticipation of his departure. Would wait and would see.
Well, Erik ten Hag, before the game, made it clear that his team was not ready. Let's listen to Erik ten Hag before I ask my final question on Manchester United.
It's not the pre-season, but is where you can in 5-6 weeks work on the team. It's very complicated, but yeah, we had the USA tour squad. Then we add the players who did the Euros and Copa America, and yeah, now new signings, and now we have to make a team from it. And yeah, that team is not ready, but yeah, the league starts, and there are more managers to deal with this problem. We definitely have this problem, but still we have some rules, some principles, and yeah, we have to make a start. We can't hide ourselves, we can't run away from it, so yeah, we have to deal with it.
So that was Erik ten Hag ahead of that game against Fulham. Eddie, based on what the coach said, do you think he needs more time? 30 seconds.
Yes, he does. This is the season just started. You would need to get players in shape. You need to forge relationships on that pitch. You need to settle on the right personnel in the different areas of the pitch. And so there's a lot still for every coach to figure out, not just Erik ten Hag.
Right.
Every coach would need some time to figure things out. And Ten Hag is no different. I think if you look at the performance of some of the new signings, okay, it can give some promise. So you talk about Zirkzee and how he capped off the night with that goal. Clearly, you can see he's a player who would love to be involved in play because he actually started that move and finished it off. So individually, Mazraoui was not bad. Zirkzee just held his own. So he needs some time. That's the point.
Because fair to say, after 2 seasons, getting into his 3rd season, fair to say Erik ten Hag still needs more time to fix this United team?
That will probably depend on Sir Jim Ratcliffe and his Ineos group, who seem to have a plan. But then again, I mean, after 2 years, he should be doing a lot better. I mean, we say give managers time, but then again, 2 years or 2 seasons is enough time to lay a certain marker down. 2 years is enough time to paint a picture with the perfect pixels of your command of that team. And Erik ten Hag simply hasn't done that. If you ask anybody what style of football Man United plays, I don't think Lukman or Eddie will be able to tell us whether they play a high pressing game, or if they play a possession based game, or if they do a balance, or if they play a game pressing, or if they are doing an inverted fullback. I mean, you don't know exactly what kind of football Erik ten Hag is playing. Hardball at Manchester United. So 2 years is enough time to lay a marker and show exactly what you mean to do. And I believe after this season, or probably even midway into this season, if the chips don't fall in place, he might be saying cuckoo to Manchester United.
Well, that's it for Manchester United. Yesterday, they labored to defeat Fulham by 1-0. The games coming up today would have some really interesting matchups in there. We have the likes of West Ham United in action against Aston Villa. That would be a late kickoff game. We are expecting to see Ghana's Kudus Mohammed in action. We'll have a quick discussion on that game as well. We'll check out the Ghanaian players in the Premier League, and I know Lukman has the lowdown on all the Ghanaian players in the Premier League this season. We'll quickly check out their performances so far in preseason and where we expect to see their clubs at the end of this season. We have Arsenal playing Wolverhampton Wanderers at 4 p.m. Everton will play Brighton. Newcastle United will play Southampton. Nottingham Forest will play against Bournemouth, and West Ham will play Aston Villa at 4:30. So just keep in mind that Ipswich and Liverpool are currently playing. It's 0-0 after 45 minutes. We'll see how things go for Liverpool in that second half of the game. But another manager who's been speaking ahead of his game on Sunday is Enzo Maresca, the Chelsea manager. And this is what he's been saying.
For sure, we are doing well since day one. We are improving things. Now, for sure, it's just, we started just 1 month ago, so it's too early to see the team in the way I would like to see. But in the same moment, I'm quite happy because in terms of process, I think the team is ahead where I expected, my expectation. So it's important. But for me, the good feeling is that game after game and day after day, I can see that the team is improving. And in this moment is the most important thing.
Well, that was Enzo Maresca. He says his team is doing well. They're okay. They are picking up. Because Enzo Maresca and his Chelsea team. What should we expect from this Chelsea team this season? And should Chelsea fans be confident seeing what we've seen in preseason, knowing what we've seen in preseason, and listening to the Chelsea manager and his plans for the season? Should fans be confident?
I'll tell you.
Your notes are too many today.
No, I'll tell you why. Okay. Now, I've watched Chelsea in preseason, and Enzo Maresca seems to be a coach with a lot of ideas. Now, sometimes in football, when you have too many ideas running through your mind, it can be your undoing. You've got a squad, a bloated, young, inexperienced squad, who you're trying to teach certain things. Sometimes just let people play football. Do the Carlo Ancelotti way, where you infuse tactics with freedom and get people play football. But he's trying too many new things. And you realize that in preseason, all the goals Chelsea conceded were the same. Trying to play from the back and giving the ball away because you're not well versed at doing it and you don't have the personnel to do it. You don't have defenders that are pacey. You've got the likes of Badiashile. Badiashile is as bad as his name. Oh my God. You've got the likes of Badiashile playing in the back line and you want to play from the back. Disastrous. But we don't want to go there.
But to be fair, because Enzo, we all know, comes from the Pep Guardiola style.
No, but you see, sometimes you don't have to copy.
So you would always expect him to
replicate
the form of
Mikel
his boss.
Mikel Arteta has not copied Pep Guardiola. He's doing his own thing. You see, and in listening to him, he's already started making excuses before the season started. He said, listen, nobody has told me to qualify for the Champions League. And that this project will take at least 5 years. So fans have patience. No, listen, everybody wants to win. And you want to go out there and win. If you are trying too hard to be over-elaborate, it would cost you. I hope he wakes up and smells the coffee as early as possible. But, with this over-elaboration and trying to reinvent football with inverted fullbacks and double number 8s and... I don't want to speak as a fan, but, if you're a Chelsea fan, you should go and get some patience pills and take them. You need quite a lot of that.
Because you're talking about patience pills. Tomorrow, Chelsea face Manchester City at Stamford Bridge. And I think that we saw an improved Chelsea team getting to the end of last season. In about 14 games, I think we saw Chelsea lose just one. If I'm not mistaken, yes. Chelsea had a strong finish to the season.
Yeah.
And we saw Chelsea put up quite some spirited performances against some of the big teams. Against Manchester City tomorrow. Shouldn't Maresca be able to overcome Pep Guardiola's men?
Ideally, last season Manchester City did not beat Chelsea. It was all draws, I think it was. Yeah, definitely. Now, going into this game, Pep Guardiola has a more settled team. I think he's welcoming Rodri back. The likes of Bernardo Silva, etc., are going to be back, etc. But this Chelsea team seems like one in transition. And Enzo Maresca is already blaming Mauricio Pochettino for some of his problems. For example, the high line, etc. So then again, it's a complete fresh start. On paper, Chelsea definitely are not favourites for a game like this. They are coming up against the defending champions with a relatively young team. We see the likes of Romeo Lavia, who hasn't played for a long time. We probably would not see Pedro Neto maybe come off the bench because Enzo Maresca has spoken about how he's just recently joined the team, etc. I mean, it will be an uphill task. It is football, so anything and everything is possible. But I believe you go into that game telling his team that, listen, it is possible. Go out there and give your all. You're not going to be judged on that now. It's beginning of the season, but you want to start strongly. So it'll be an uphill task. On paper, they are not favourites. I don't think Chelsea fans are overly optimistic about the result of a game like this. They would want to ease the team in. But then again, we'll take that win if it comes.
Well, because he says Chelsea fans will take that win if it comes. But Eddie, let me come to you before I get to Lukman. Chelsea, in their final 15 games of the season, won 9, drew 5, and lost just once. My fact checker, Jonathan, has just drawn my attention to that. And, I mean, we saw quite some improvement along the way under the man Pochettino. Going into this game against Manchester City with almost the same personnel, shouldn't Chelsea go into that game very confident in front of their home fans, knowing very well they can get the job done against City?
Yeah, so if this game had come maybe 10 games into the season, maybe the response would have been different, because then you would know, or you'd have a sense of what Enzo Maresca wants to do with this team. Now you talk about Pochettino leaving it late to make his team competitive. I think that it took him too much time to understand what the team needs to thrive, or what the team needed to thrive. And that's what Enzo Maresca must guard against. He needs to very early understand, be clear on what he wants from this team. He must be able to clearly transmit his ideas to the players. He must understand the team very quickly and make sure that the players understand what he demands of them very, very quickly, so that he doesn't have a season of two halves where he is underperforming in one half and he is resurgent in the other. So I think on Sunday, Chelsea fans largely would want to see a sense of what is to come in terms of tactics, in terms of personnel, in terms of in-game management, and the like. So all eyes will be on Maresca, because it is the quality of his decisions that will come to the fore.
Right. Lukman, Chelsea, where do they go under Enzo Maresca, coming up against a team like Manchester City, who many have tipped to win this season's title in their opener? What should you expect from that game? And where do you expect Chelsea to finish this season?
Well, I mean, before I even make my submission, have you seen that video of them in a certain cubicle, or I think it's their gym, where, I mean, I could not even count the number of players. Chelsea seem to have over 50 players in that cubicle.
Technically now, there's just maybe 21 or 22.
There'll be a lot of outgoings.
But it's interesting. It's interesting.
I mean,
I've seen that mischief too.
Yeah. I mean, it's we'll see what happens, because the way things are being done at Chelsea, for someone who's seen the best Chelsea era, I get confused about what is actually going on. We've seen them, buy some of the best players in the world. I mean, you would expect when Chelsea goes into the market, they bring in players with some level of reputation. But then this time around, you hear them going in for players that you've never heard of. And that is quite surprising to me. But then, like the club owners and then even the coach is saying it's a long-term project. I mean, that is why they are because, and then even when you look at the contracts of these players, it's all about 2031, 2033, 2020. Yes. So it's I mean, so you see why I'm confused about what is going on at Chelsea now. You have over 50 players in a small cubicle. You have
the contract situation is just a business strategy.
yeah, I understand. I know. Yeah. I perfectly understand it, but that wasn't the model, you know. So it's it's something new to us. But then apart from that, let's just put that aside. I've seen Chelsea in preseason. I mean, you could see that Enzo Maresca is coming in with a different idea altogether. It's different from what we've known Chelsea of. I mean, even the last season Chelsea that we saw was not really a dominating team, a team that wants to control a lot of football. They did a lot of running, they did a lot of wing play, but then this time around, you see that for Enzo Maresca, it's all about keeping the ball and then creating chances. There are so many teams that play like that in the Premier League, and it's no surprise that he's coming from the Pep Guardiola school, and so it makes sense. But then you also ask yourself, are these players the kind of players you can trust in doing that and then doing it very, very well? Because largely most of these players are inexperienced in terms of the level of Premier League football. And then apart from that, for Chelsea fans, like I said, most of them have seen the best Chelsea era, and so it will be demanding from them. They will be demanding a lot from.
It's a project.
Exactly. So no, Chelsea fans
5
don't
years.
care. Chelsea fans are not going to be patiently waiting for the project. They want results. They want to see the team winning trophies. Even in the last few years of Abramovich, that the team wasn't really playing so much of a good football, they still found a way of winning trophies, and that is exactly what Chelsea wants. But then from what we've seen in the last 2 years, or what is currently going on, it's not going to be an easy game against Manchester City. They would have to, because this Manchester City team is so good. They've played together for a very long time. In fact, they've not done a lot of signings because most of the players that they have understand themselves. They've played together for so many matches, and so it is the old Manchester City team coming up against a relatively new Chelsea team. Because as you and I sit here, it will be very hard for us to even name the starting 11 of Chelsea. But then we can close our eyes and then we can close our eyes and then name the starting 11 of Manchester City. And then apart from that, you ask where do I see them finishing the campaign? In fact, if Mauricio Pochettino had stayed, I could have tipped Chelsea for a top 4 finish. But then it's a new manager. He's coming from the Championship. Winning the Championship does not guarantee you instant success in the Premier League. I still feel they will be finishing in the top, maybe 6, 7. But then
Chelsea
winning the league is out of the
Chelsea
top.
to finish in the top 6. Let me bring in Kofi. Let me pick his thoughts on this matter as well. Kofi, Chelsea look like they are confused. I mean, under Maresca at the moment, Chelsea look like a team nobody seems to be confident about. Going up against Manchester City tomorrow, what should we expect from Chelsea, and where could Chelsea possibly finish this season?
Let me start with where I think they will finish this season. I see them finishing the top 8, probably 8. That's why I ranked them 8 by the end of the season. We saw them against Man City in pre-season on tomorrow, but then again, it's football. Anything you're as good as what you produce on the day. Yes, there's been a lot of talk about Chelsea's signings, the business they've done. I mean, there were even talks about this spending money on anything that was a football boot, which I find ridiculous. But then consistently they keep speaking about the project. And Lookman said something that is very interesting. You see, majority of the Chelsea generation of 3 or 4 years have been spoiled with Chelsea being dominant, Chelsea winning trophies, Chelsea winning laurels, Chelsea always being there or thereabouts in the league and in Europe. So for them to see this side of Chelsea, it's a bit difficult to take. But they would have to actually understand that if this is the project that Todd Bowley and his consortium wants, then they have a long way to go. It's a new phase, it's a new era. It's it's a place where they have really been before. Where let's take it back to last season where they had about 40 players, some of them changing on the corridors of training grounds, where there's evidence of like uncomfortable with even using the washrooms and stuff. It's always going to be difficult because you need to find the right balance. And then with what is bought after assessing them, they want to shift some. Yes, I know they'll probably shift some on loan, like we saw in Abramovich's first 3-4 years in charge, where a lot of them were in Holland for Vitesse and then Max Breda. So we probably might see something similar. But then look, it doesn't really look good in terms of being in the top 4 or being a challenger in the next 1 or 2 seasons for Chelsea. It would really take a lot of time. And so Maresca has come in, just like Poch was given the first season to, like was being assessed in the first season. He might probably be given something similar. Well, he's had promise, or he's had words from his employer saying that they'll give him all the time that he needs. But then, if things are not going well, if they are that's so bad, they might be forced to have a think again. It happened to what's his name, Graham Potter. What wasn't he told? But then, when the pressure started coming, he was on the exit door. Pochettino, I felt like, despite all the good things he started to show, he was still showing the exit door. So it might always promise things go that badly. But then, for me, I think that look, Chelsea has a big job on their hands. It's really going to take them a long time to get up to speed with whatever they want to do. But I think in the time being, you're only going to see the likes of Man City, Arsenal, Liverpool, probably Man United still getting ahead of them in this time frame.
Well, we'll see. We'll see how things pan out for Chelsea. It's almost looking like a Vision 2020 for Chelsea as far as things are going. But let's deal with one team that many have tipped to win the season's title, Arsenal. And Arsenal, after finishing second in the last 2 seasons, look like they are ready to win the title. And if you listen to the connoisseurs of the game, almost everybody believes that the bridesmaid will finally become the bride this season. Arsenal could finally be crowned champions of England for the first time since 2004. Eddie, is this the season for Arsenal?
No, it's because teams learn a lot about themselves in defeat. Okay, so you expect that Arsenal would have learned a lot about what it takes or what their failings were 2 seasons ago, and would have had the opportunity also just last season to know what their failings were. And so with the experience of those seasons, you expect Arsenal to mount a sustained, genuine challenge for the EPL title. I think that Arteta understands his team very much. The players and understand the manager. They know what is expected of them. They have not made wholesale changes. It tells you that Arteta has a team that easily picks itself out. You have players who have very good chemistry on the pitch, and also Arteta settling on a system that really favors the Gunners. So, and also not having any real off-field issues to deal with. You would want to mention that Man City in the course of the season would have to deal with the profitability and sustainability rule charges against them. That might be a distraction. Arsenal don't have that to deal with. But then you are seeing a team that is stable, a team that is expected to have learned from their failings, and a team that I think has a number of hungry players in their fold, and a team that will look to prove a point. Now, the rest of the teams around Manchester City and Arsenal are in transition, so to speak. So Chelsea has a new manager, has made a raft of changes in personnel. Manchester United have some new backroom staff, have made some changes in personnel. Liverpool have a new manager. So around Arsenal and Man City, there's a lot going on. Arsenal is very stable, and I expect them to annex it.
Good one.
Yep.
Arsenal seem to be the team a lot of pundits believe could finally deliver the English Premier League title after showing consistent form in the last 2 seasons. Is this finally the season for them to deliver that title for their fans?
Well, for me, as long as Manchester City is still around with Pep Guardiola, it makes it very, very difficult. It's like the Usain Bolt era in sprints. There was no coming close to even winning. But then the thing about Arsenal that has excited me in the last 2 years is that you look at the numbers, even mathematically, they've made points that could have easily won them the Premier League. Last season, they just lost the Premier League by just a point. Last 2 seasons, I think 6 or 7 points between them and then Manchester City. And so mathematically, they've been the team that is really pushing Manchester City for the title. And the reason why Arsenal could be the team this year is that if you look at the time when Liverpool finished second, won the title, they also had a similar run, you know, pushing Manchester City for the title for a number of seasons and then eventually ended up winning it. But then for Arsenal, one thing they would have to do to ensure that they realize their dream of winning the Premier League is to manage some very key players. And when I talk about managing key players, I mean players like Thomas Partey. I mean, you don't necessarily need Thomas Partey for a game against Nottingham Forest. You don't necessarily need a player like maybe a player like Saliba for an Ipswich game. So they would have to find a way of managing these players, because what really cost them last season was Saliba's injury. There was a certain run that Saliba was out there with an injury and they lost. I think they lost against Aston Villa in one of those games. And of course, for Thomas Partey, we all know he barely gets a full season without getting injured. But then whenever he's in that Arsenal team, he's one player that really makes the difference for them. And so they would have to find a way of managing him as well. And then for a player like Gabriel Jesus, it also comes with what he offers for this Arsenal team. He's not an out-and-out striker. He's not that striker that will give you averagely 20 goals per season. And so you would look at what he also brings to the team. I think the front line has to do with a lot with regards to the success of Arsenal. I feel they would have to find a way of getting the best, the very best, out of someone like Gabriel Jesus. He's doing his best. He's doing very, very well. But then he has to be that main man for them. Maybe then he has to be deputized by someone. I don't know the future of Edin Ketia at the moment at the club. But then if he would have to be there, they would have to find a way of ensuring that he gets consistent game time and then gives his best to the team. But then apart from that, holistically, I think Arsenal will be that team that will really give Manchester City a run for their money. But then it also goes a step further from just what happens on the pitch and outside the pitch. It has to do with the mentality of the club. I've seen them bottle the league over and over, and it's all because of that mentality. They would have to see themselves as winning the league.
Arsenal expected to challenge Manchester City for the title this season, and that's what Lukman believes. Before I come to Kosi Fiaka, this is the Weekend Sports Rally live on Z101.9 FM. My name is Raymond Yamado. Lukman, Evergreen Movement, joining me to do the analysis. Eddie Akins and Kosi Fiaka, all in studio, helping me do the analysis. Let me say good afternoon to you wherever you are. Sefa Dankwa, Kojo Sefa Dankwa. Today is your birthday. Happy birthday to you, my brother. And Sefa and I have an interesting history. I mean, from our days with GMA, I mean, fantastic personality. We hosted the Happy Morning Show together. Sefa, good afternoon to you wherever you are. Happy birthday to you. God bless you, and I pray that you go from strength to strength. I wish you all the best, and I pray that all your heart desires come through. Sefa Dankwa, Kojo Sefa Dankwa, host of the Happy Morning Show. I wish you well. Nana Uchinkwa. Lukman,
is that the Sefa that I know?
Yeah, Sefa.
Okay. Happy birthday, Sefa. Happy birthday.
Yes. So, he's a big man these days. So.
Oh, I see.
Well, Kosi, let's come back to our Premier League discussion. Many believe it's Arsenal season. Do you agree with them?
Yes. If they don't win it, I think Arteta should walk.
This is Gossip's first yes on the show this afternoon.
I think Liverpool have taken the lead as well, some way, somehow, against Ipswich.
It's just Ipswich.
Yes, it's just. But it's just Ipswich. Anyway, yes. So Arsenal, the last couple of seasons, have flirted with the Premier League title. Mikel Arteta has brought his charges to the cusp of winning the coveted Premier League trophy. Now, Arsenal, as an entity in itself, is thirsting for another sip of the glory the Premier League itself brings. And Mikel Arteta has been that one who has brought them closest to the living waters of the Premier League. Now, he's expected this time around to launch them into it. Simply because, one, they've built a good squad over the years, made some shrewd additions, the Calafiori, etc. And over this last couple of seasons, I believe they've been preparing themselves by adding experience to the squad. The likes of Jorginho, the likes of Kai Havertz, etc. They're not just brought in for their ability, but for their experience at the top level as well. And he's built a very formidable squad. In fact, he even passed a very glowing tribute about Gabriel Jesus, about how he seems different, etc. A lot of people still argue that they are one top marksman away from winning the Premier League. But I believe this should be their year. With what they've built over the last couple of seasons, Mikel Arteta's team should take that very, very final leap towards lifting the Premier League title. I mean, they were closest to Man City. They completely bottled it. They might have learned. They might have built metal. And I believe that this should be their year. If not, like I said, Mikel Arteta should walk. Because he has everything working in his favour to go out there and win the Premier League this season.
Well, Arsenal and Arteta should have everything to win the season. And that's what Coach Kosi Fiaka believes. But look, man, quickly, before we sign out on the Premier League, there are Ghanaian players in there. And Eddie was very interested in the Ghanaian interest in there. Yeah. But Liverpool have taken the lead. Diogo Jota scored that goal. But who are the Ghanaian players we should look out for in the Premier League this season?
Well, I mean, we have 8 players in the English Premier League this season. Yeah, 8 players. First, Antoine Semenyo of AFC Bournemouth. He had a very good season in the last campaign, scoring 8 goals for the Cherries. And so Antoine Semenyo will be in there. There is also Thomas Partey of Arsenal. I've mentioned him already here. He's expected to play a very huge role in the upcoming campaign or in the new season for the Gunners. And if they are to win the English Premier League at the end of the season, it will be a very good news for Ghanaian football fans. And then there is also Mohamed Kudus of West Ham United, arguably the best Ghanaian player at the moment.
The right to dream boy.
Yeah, the right to dream boy. He's really dreaming in the English Premier League. Last season was a very, very good campaign for him. He scored 8 goals, delivered 6 assists in the English Premier League. And so there is Mohamed Kudus also in there. At Crystal Palace, we have as many as 2 Ghanaian players. There is Jordan Ayew. He is expected to, he's been in the news in recent times. There has been news that he's going to be joining Leicester City. But then Jordan Ayew is staying put at Crystal Palace. He will be in action for them. There is also Jeffrey Schlupp. Jeffrey Schlupp is also in there for Crystal Palace. Interestingly, these 2 players have over 500 matches between them in the Premier League. Jordan Ayew has made 274 appearances in the English Premier League. Jeffrey Schlupp has done 268 matches in the Premier League. And so we have 5 now. And then there is Kamaldeen Suleimana of Southampton. He is battling injury problems, but then he is expected to feature for Southampton this season. There is Fatawu Ishaku, who is also a player of Leicester City. He will be making his Premier League debut against Tottenham Hotspur on Monday evening. And finally, Tariq Lamptey of Brighton and Hove Albion. He is another player with a lot of experience in the Premier League. It could have been 9, but then just yesterday or 2 days ago, Ibrahim Osman was shipped out on loan to Feyenoord.
Right, look, man. That's it for the Ghanaian players in the Premier League this season. We wish them the best of luck, and we hope that Ghanaian finally wins the English Premier League title for the first time since Michael Essien did it for Chelsea. Liverpool have taken 2-goal lead. Mohamed Salah with the second goal for Liverpool. So the Ipswich resistance has finally been broken. And Mohamed Salah and his boys are running riot at the moment. Let's quickly get onto the phone lines and speak to Jojo Epson. He's the communications director of the Ghana Boxing Federation. He'll bring us up to speed with what plans they have. I think there's an event going on. Let me quickly get him on the phone lines. Jojo, good afternoon to you and welcome to the Weekend Sports Rally.
Yeah, good afternoon. Good afternoon to our listeners too.
What's happening with the IBA, the GBF? Sorry, the GBF. There's a tournament going on. Bring us up to speed with it.
Oh well, now that the Olympics is over, boxing people are also not like idle. For that matter, the African, Boxing Confederation (AFBC) is relocating its headquarters from Yaoundé, Cameroon to Addis Ababa in Ethiopia. And for that reason, the current president, who is an Ethiopian, in collaboration with International Boxing Association, are organizing an IBA Night Championship, the first of its kind in Africa, in the Addis capital, tonight. And then it's featuring, some Ghanaians. So as I speak now, the president of the Ghana Boxing Federation, VSI Benaforte, is there with two Ghanaian boxers. Theophilus Akwalote, who will be having or fighting on the May bill with Patrick Chinyamba in the flyweight division. Patrick Chinyamba is the gold medalist at the African Games and also Africa's #1 at the lightweight. Got to the quarterfinals and was eventually defeated by Quebec's David Pina, so failed to make a medal bet at the Paris Olympic Games. He is fighting the Ghanaian Patrick Pakwalote, who is the third rank on the African continent and also did well, but unfortunately could not qualify for the Olympics. There's a prize money of $10,000 at stake. This amateur professional, with a belt at stake as well. The other Ghanaian in the competition too is Joseph Kome, who is going to fight at the light, weight division. Joseph Kome is the African gold medalist at the lightweight, also the silver medalist at the Commonwealth Games from Birmingham 2022. So as it is now, the new headquarters or the secretariat of the African Boxing Confederation is being commissioned in the Ethiopian capital of Addis Ababa, today. So that's it.
I'm sure next week we'll have you in the studio so we get into a bit of the postmortem into what happened at the Olympics and what the GBF is trying to do. So hopefully next week we'll have you in studio and then we'll know how the Ghanaian boxers fared in Ethiopia. So thank you very much for joining us on the phone this afternoon, Jojo.
Yeah, thank you very much. It's very serious. We shouldn't make to look as if once boxing failed to go to Olympics, everything went. We also have to sleep with the bad result we got from the Olympic Games. It can't happen that way. That's how we have been doing last 4 years. We went and came back, celebrated with Kechi's bronze. Then we went this year, while other countries were celebrating their medal success. We are here, not looking at what we can do.
Jojo, next week I'll bring you in studio so we get into a bit of that, okay?
Okay.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for joining us. And that was Jojo Epson. He's the communications director of the Ghana Boxing Federation. This all time will allow us on today's edition of the Weekend Sports Rally on Z101.9 FM. God willing, next week, Saturday, we'll be back again with another interesting edition of your Branch Time, Land Time Sports Show, the Weekend Sports Rally. My name, Raymond Yamado. I was joined in studio by Eddie Akins, Lukman Evergreen Moomin, Kosi Fiaka, and Jonathan Binzua. Brahima has been behind the scenes, making sure everything in terms of technical support has been top notch. Thank you very much once again for tuning in. Until we meet again, God willing, next week, Saturday. Have a super weekend. Be good, stay safe, and support the best team to win this weekend as far as the games across Europe and all the local scene is concerned. Let me remind you once again that Samatex will be in action this weekend. They will be playing in faraway Chad, in faraway Cameroon. And in Swatreman, we'll be playing here at the Accra Sports Stadium against their opponents from Chad. So there's a bit of local action on the Ghanaian scene. Thank you very much for joining us on the show. This has been the Weekend Sports Rally.